Before I get into this review for Dawn of Justice, let me put this out to you guys right now. My overall opinion has nothing to do with the fact that I'm more of a Marvel fan in general. I may be more of a Marvel fan, but at the same time, but that's not to say that I don't like any DC properties. The Dark Knight trilogy, Superman 78, and the Flash TV show. So, again, my overall opinion has nothing to do with me being a Marvel fan. And despite all of the critics' reviews coming on Rotten Tomatoes with a rotten score of I think maybe 29 or something like that, I wanted to like this movie. I really did. Despite being disappointed with Man of Steel, I really wanted this movie to be good. Anyway, let's get to it. How you doing, guys? I'm Joe, and today I'm here to talk about Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Just a little warning ahead of time for you guys. There's going to be some spoilers in this video. I'm not going to talk about everything, but there will be some spoilers in here. And the reason why I'm putting a spoiler warning in here is because I feel enough people have seen this movie by now for me to go in depth about it. Again, not going to talk about everything, but I will be talking about certain moments. Batman vs. Superman is a sequel to Man of Steel in which Bruce Wayne, played by Ben Affleck, sees Superman as a threat and makes it his one mission to go up against Superman and eliminate him, fearful of the fact that he could burn the whole place down due to the destruction he caused in Man of Steel and Metropolis, and over the fact that Bruce Wayne's friends and employees were killed in the Battle of Metropolis. All the while, Superman is trying to deal with all the consequences of his battle with Zod, since he's being viewed in a mixed response from the public. Is he viewed as a hero? As a villain? As a menace? And then you got Lex Luthor, who's got his evil scheme coming up and is trying to manipulate Batman and Superman to fight each other by creating a certain entity, if you've seen the trailers. And you got other characters in here, such as Wonder Woman, who plays some kind of a part in this movie. Does this movie sound packed to you just from the way I described it? Well, it is. This movie is really packed. But can they find the right combination to balance all these plots together? Now, this movie has been pretty divisive, I would say. Just like with Man of Steel, a lot of people really love this movie, a lot of people don't really like this movie. For me, to be completely honest with you guys, I didn't like it. I actually thought it was pretty terrible in a lot of ways. But there is one or two saving graces in this movie, and let's talk about those first. First of all, Ben Affleck as Batman Bruce Wayne. Wow, he is so good as Bruce Wayne Batman. I bought him 100% as that character. He has the look of a billionaire. He's brooding. He's grizzled. He's more experienced as a crime fighter. He looks great in the suit, and the costume looks like Dark Knight Returns straight off the page. It's not my favorite Batman suit because I kind of like my bat ears to go a little longer. That's just me personally. But I really like the costume personally. It took a little while for it to grow on me, but I actually do like it. And Jeremy Irons as Alfred, excellent. I love the back and forth between him and Ben Affleck. I bought the fact that these two had known each other for quite some time, even though it's a little odd that Jeremy Irons kind of looks like Tony Stark. It's a meme that people have made online. The only thing I don't really like about Batman is that he kills people, at least some people, and it makes you go, what? Why? The problem is they don't explain it. I mean, if they could just give like a couple lines or maybe one scene where Alfred was like, Master Wayne, you're taking this a little too far. Well, they killed Robin. Now I've got nothing left. And speaking of that, since Bruce Wayne has been Batman for quite some time, I think it's about 20 years or so, like he says in the movie, it's pretty evident with the Robin suit he has in his Batcave, which is a reference to Jason Todd's death at the hands of the Joker. Wonder Woman? She's pretty good, I would say. There's not a whole lot to that character. Gal Gadot, she proves to be a pretty good casting choice. I buy her physicality in the role. I don't know anything about Wonder Woman, to be honest. I don't know anything about her, but as far as her solo movie's concerned, I'll definitely give that movie a chance. Henry Cavill, he's fine as Superman, not great. He doesn't really have a whole lot of material to work with, but I think he does his best. Some of the visual imagery in here with certain scenes is pretty cool, and the action, particularly the fight where Batman goes to save Martha Kent from Lex Luthor's men, reminded me a lot of the Batman Arkham games where he's flipping around fighting thugs, slamming their heads into each other. But my favorite part of that scene is this one right here. Oh God, that was so awesome. I love that moment. And some of the action sequences with the Batmobile are pretty awesome too, and along with the Batwing. And some of the score by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL is pretty good, but that's about all I liked about this movie. Biggest problem with this movie is that it has no focus. It's trying to be a Batman movie, it's trying to be a Man of Steel sequel, it's trying to put all this Justice League setup in there, which doesn't feel forced. It just feels like half-assed, I would say. It does kind of feel forced, but it feels half-assed. I'll get to that later. Now, some people have compared this to Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Iron Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. I definitely get those vibes with this movie. Basically, it's like, okay, introduce plotline 1. Okay, stop, go to plotline 2. Stop, go to plotline 3, 4, 5, 6. This subplot, blah, 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 blah. And because of that, this movie has no sense of what it's trying to do with its overall story. Keeps going from one place to another without spending too much time on anything. And by the time we get back to a certain plot point, we jump ahead so far that I can't even tell what the heck's going on anymore. But some of the characters in here really got on my nerves, particularly Lois Lane. I still don't like Lois Lane. I feel next to nothing about this character. Amy Adams is one of my favorite actresses personally, and there's this whole thing with her trying to figure out where this bullet came from, and she's questioning Harry Lennox's character, who's now the Secretary of State or something like that. They try so hard to make her relevant by having her be proactive, like helping Superman with the kryptonite and everything in the final fight. Now, I know what some of you are probably going to go, well, at least she does something. No, guys. That's not a good excuse. The fact that she actually does something proactive does not excuse the fact that she's a poorly written character. Not to mention, she gets saved at least three times. I count at least 3 times. If you could let me know, let me know. And then we got Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, which, let me just say, I think he stuck out in this movie like a sore thumb. I think he was completely miscast. Now, look, I like Jesse Eisenberg in Social Network. I got nothing against the guy personally. He's funny, he's likable, I've seen him in some interviews, and he looks like a fun guy. And I'm not against them trying to do something a little bit different with a certain character. Now, I'm no expert on Lex Luthor. From what I understand, Lex Luthor's supposed to be more methodical and calculating and businessman-like. This one, they try to go for an eccentric, weirdo type of character who's got a really weird twitch. Didn't really work for me. Although, this one line made me laugh. Oh, wow, that is a strong grip. You should not pick a fight with this person. Jesse Eisenberg, good actor, but I think he's completely miscast in this role. On the other hand, they do try to do something interesting with this character by having him go against Superman, viewing him as a god, where he tries to go against God and be his own type of god when he creates Doomsday. We'll get to that thing later. With him interacting with Holly Hunter's character, the Senator or whatever. Kind of an interesting idea there, but it gets so muddled down by all this other stuff going on with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman that you don't really care that much. And not to mention, he takes General Zod's body, cuts off his fingerprints, which, why didn't you cut off his hand? Oh, right, PG-13 purposes. Takes his fingerprints and conveniently gets inside this Kryptonian ship that was recovered in the rubble in Metropolis. And he takes Zod's body, dips him in a pool of water, and some reason, all the while, he's got all this access to all this Kryptonian technology, and somehow he creates Doomsday, which I'm guessing was Zod's DNA, or maybe he mutated Zod's body. It's never explained. And then he manipulates Superman into going after Batman by kidnapping Superman's mother, Martha Kent, played by Diane Lane, which, to be a little positive here for a little bit, I don't mind Diane Lane as Martha Kent. I think she's a pretty good choice. Even though I don't really care about her character for most of this movie, personally, I thought she was done just a little bit better in Man of Steel. That was one of the very few positives I found in that movie alone. Anyway, he manipulates Superman into fighting Batman, which, okay, you make sense right there, but the problem I have with this is, the whole time up until then, Superman seems to be against Batman for no reason whatsoever. I mean, he questions Bruce Wayne on Batman being a vigilante, but then when he confronts Batman, who's chasing after a group of thugs in his Batmobile, he takes the front door, rips it open, throws it to the side, and he says, "The Bat's dead. Next time you see your signal, don't go to it." And you just go, why? Why do you hate him so much? What did he do to you that was so terrible? Again, there's no explanation for certain things. And since we got into that, there's a couple of things in this movie that don't make any sense whatsoever. Besides what I mentioned with Superman's hatred against Batman. There's like 3 dream sequences in here where Bruce Wayne goes to the place where his mother and his father's coffins are at. Then he sees blood dripping from his mother's coffin. Then all of a sudden this bat thing pops out, which I think might have been a reference to Man-Bat. I don't know. Goes, Wah! Grabs him, pulls him inside, and he wakes up. Just like that. And it's like a, gotcha kind of moment. And you just go, wait, what? Well, what was that? Then he has another dream where he's in a desert and he's dressed up in the bat suit, wears this long trench coat. It's like it's Mad Max Fury Road. Man-Bat Fury Road. and he's fighting all these soldiers, which appears to be Metropolis in some kind of a desolate wasteland. And it turns out these soldiers are part of Superman's army because they have the S on their shoulder patches. Batman's using a gun to kill all these thugs, which it's a dream sequence, okay. But he gets captured. Superman shows up, pulls the mask off, and I think he's about to do a Kali Ma on Batman or something. Batman wakes up. He's in his Batcave again. But then, all of a sudden, this figure shows up in a flash of light. All this lightning showing up. At first I thought it was the Red Hood, because it was all red, like a mask. I figured, is that Jason Todd? But no, it actually turns out to be the Flash. And I didn't even know that until I saw some of the Easter egg articles online. And all the while he's saying, Lois Lane's the key! Lois Lane's the key! And Bruce Wayne wakes up and finds out it was all a dream. What the heck was that all about? Was he actually coming back in time into his dream, or what? Yeah. But since I brought up Superman's hatred for Batman, on the other hand, I understand Batman's hatred for Superman. He has the ability to wipe out the entire human race. So, Batman can't take any chances with this one. So I bought that. Now, if you want to hear me talk about the fight between Batman and Superman, it's okay. It's not bad. There are some cool parts where they throw each other around and there's huge punches and everything. I didn't love the fight personally. I know that's what a lot of fans were waiting for. To be honest, I wasn't really that excited about that kind of thing, but I thought it was fine, a decent amount of entertainment. But the way it ended, though, the fact that he said, Martha, which I actually thought it was kind of cool since Bruce Wayne's mother was Martha, Clark Kent's mom was Martha. I didn't actually think of that before. Why did you use that name? It's his mother's name. Oh, okay, we're friends. We're friends? Oh, wow. Yeah, that was... how convenient. And, since we were at that point, Doomsday shows up, as created by Lex Luthor, which was stupidly given away in the trailers. I don't know exactly why they did that, but here's the clip. That, along with that whole trailer in general, where the movie seemed summed up within like 3 minutes, that right off the bat told me this is not going in a good direction. Because if you haven't been following me for a while, the first teaser I did a reaction to, I got pretty excited. It actually looked like they were actually trying to do something good with it. Then the second trailer came out and I went, okay, it's pretty good. Not feeling Jesse Eisenberg and it looks a little too much, but still, it could be good. But then the third trailer came out, so yeah. And Doomsday looks terrible. Looks... ugh. He looks like the Abomination's long-lost cousin and that troll from The Fellowship of the Ring. And that movie came out in 2001, and that effect looks better than it does in this movie in the year 2016. And the final fight I felt really, really sucked. Flashy, it's whiz-bang, it's loud, so many explosions and so many hard punches side to side. On the one hand, though, not a whole lot of innocent civilians are there. It's basically no innocent civilians are there, so you have that, but still, I was just so bored at that point. On the one hand, though, Wonder Woman was pretty badass to watch. She held her own in the fight, I will give it that. But then comes the big moment when Superman gets his hands on the stick with the kryptonite on it, thanks to Lois Lane, who he had to save again. Decides to take it, charges at Doomsday, stabs him in the heart, but what does Doomsday do? Punches Superman's chest. Both of them are killed. That I thought was really ballsy. I just went, what? They killed Superman? Ooh, man. But then after a minute or so, I thought about it and I went, oh, no, he can't be dead. Because I thought Henry Cavill was confirmed to be in the Justice League movie. And he does. After all the funeral they have for Superman and Clark Kent, camera zooms in on the coffin after Lois Lane leaves the graveyard. You see the dirt start to pick up, float over the coffin, and it cuts to black. So, you know he's still alive. Speaking of the funeral, Bruce Wayne obviously feels bad about Superman. He's talking to Wonder Woman, fighting for Superman. And since that's a reference to the Justice League, let's talk about that scene where it's revealed. They reveal it in an email that Bruce Wayne sent to Wonder Woman. I know who you are. You see a picture of Wonder Woman standing next to Chris Pine and a couple other people from an old picture, I guess, from the early 20th century or something. Okay, that was fine. But then you have all these files with these logos for each Justice League member. Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Instead of just putting like their names on or something, you just put on the symbols? So how did the graphic artist at LexCorp know about that? Come on. The Flash's cameo? It's fine, I guess. He stops a convenience store holdup. Not bad. And by the way, Ezra Miller, nothing against you, but I already got my Flash. His name's Grant Gustin. I don't need you. Cyborg's cameo? Nah. But it's the same guy who played Miles Dyson in Terminator 2. How interesting. Oh, and Aquaman's cameo. What was that? It doesn't feel exactly forced. It does kind of feel forced in a way because they put the symbols in there that's so obvious. But the other cameos I mentioned, that's the best you could come up with. Come on, man. In a way, I felt like the filmmakers were treating us like idiots. Like, it had to be so obvious that it was the Justice League instead of making it a little more subtle than it was in the final cut. I don't know. I just didn't like how that was handled. And since we brought up the filmmakers, Zack Snyder, I've heard, is very style over substance. This is the second movie I've seen of his, Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice, and it shows. You got some cool imagery in here, particularly the flashbacks to Bruce Wayne's childhood with his parents and the funeral and everything. Some cool imagery there, but you kind of don't really feel anything for a lot of these characters, except for Bruce Wayne and Alfred. So you got that. Now, the thing that did capture my interest as far as the writing goes, which, by the way, the writing's all over the place in this movie, as I've stated before. David S. Goyer was still on board as one of the writers, but Chris Terrio, who wrote Argo, which is an excellent movie, was going to co-write the screenplay. So that made me think maybe, just maybe, he could cipher David Goyer's ideas. But here, I don't know what happened. It almost seems to me like in the last minute when Chris Terrio put all the touches on the script, David Goyer just kind of snuck into the room, blotted down all these weird ideas, and just shipped it off to the studio and said, "Here, approve this." Okay, it's approved. And you're not exactly getting me pumped for the Justice League, guys. And as I said before, a lot of people are split over this movie. A lot of people don't really like this movie. A lot of people absolutely love this. I don't really like it that much, personally, besides the Batman aspects. But I've seen a lot of people use this movie as a club against Marvel and the Marvel fans, saying, "Better watch out, Marvel. Dawn of Justice is coming for you. Civil War is going to be so dumb. It's so watered down." I hate it when fans do that. Doesn't matter what side you're on. I hate it when that happens. And I've seen a lot of people rate this movie 10 out of 10. It's so good. Oh my god. It's the best movie ever. It's so much better than any Marvel movie. Yeah! And a friend of mine on YouTube, Rachel Wagner, said this. The term was originally coined by Chris Stuckman, phantom menacing. It's very apparent that a lot of people are phantom menacing the heck out of this movie. Give it like a couple years time at least. Once all the hype wears down, and people are going to look back on this movie, and they're just going to go, that wasn't that good. But you know what? There are people who actually really do enjoy the movie. So if you do, more power to you. In fact, I envy you if you really like this movie because you have an easier time watching it than I did. But while Ben Affleck is really good as Batman and Jeremy Irons is excellent as Alfred, this movie is a really cluttered mess that tries to do too much and feels very unfocused, and I feel like kind of blows its load a little too quickly at a certain point. Personally, I didn't really like this movie that much, but if you do, good for you. I envy you guys. But what did you guys think of Dawn of Justice? Did you like it, hate it, do you think it was alright? Whatever you thought, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time, and hope you had a happy Easter.